In Grimm Fairy Tales, once upon the end of a time, we find ourselves in the underworld with Caris, the goddess of death, as she's wondering how the hell she even got here. Now, Caris is considered relative to Father Time as the goddess of death, but nevertheless, she falls into Father Time's trap as she gets trapped in the underworld. Father Time leaves her here to watch the events unfold as he heads for modern-day Philadelphia. Upon arriving in Philadelphia, Father Time takes in the sights before proceeding to rupture the timeline. The air ripples unnaturally as the past, present, and future begin to collide. A deep hum vibrates from futuristic war machines. Colonial soldiers begin to start marching into the city. Prehistoric monsters start making their way into the city as the sky fractures like glass. Soldiers clad in medieval armor begin to make their way into the city and slaughter all in their wake. Medieval blades clash against futuristic energy rifles as time itself unravels. A network of rifts spread like cracks in reality, each portal spilling different nightmares from different parts of the timeline. Above it all, Father Time watches in silence. But as all seems lost, the civilians are reinforced by none other than Belle DeMarco, who begins to slaughter the beast that lay before her. Now, Belle DeMarco comes from a descendant of beast hunters with this sacred duty passed down from mother to daughter. Now, as Belle DeMarco begins to slaughter all that lay before her, she gets ambushed by cosmic horrors of the future and creatures of the past. Belle DeMarco fights relentlessly as she notices Father Time looming above the chaos. Belle DeMarco screams, "Hey Methulah, is this your work?" Which Father Time smugly replies, "Yes, it is." Father Time lets her know she fights against inevitability. Nevertheless, Belle is up to the challenge as she's not backing down. Now, it is said for all her bravado, Belle has never faced anything like this before. Now, as Belle is being overwhelmed, she's eventually reinforced by an unlikely ally, the police. And to be honest with you, I would take the US police in any timeline that's erupting in chaos. Now, in this brief moment of reprieve, Belle decides it's time to cut the head of the snake off, but before she can even think, more rifts open up as creatures from past and present begin to rush her. Now, it is said that Father Time actually has other plans for Belle, for as much as Belle fights to make the battlefield her own, he reminds her that he alone rules time. Nevertheless, Belle fights on relentlessly as more creatures begin to fall out of the sky. Belle attempts to make her move, but before she can even get to Father Time, she's hit in the back by a pterodactyl, then subsequently blasted out of the sky by an energy beam. Father Time lets her know that he's already seen all outcomes, and it's a future she has no part in. Meanwhile, at Arcane Acre, other heroes look on in horror as Belle attempts to deal with Father Time. Our heroes make a crucial decision, deciding to go to Philadelphia and reinforce Belle, but before they can, a mysterious force moves into place in order to keep them in check. Without warning, a swirling sandstorm of golden sand encases their compound, with Sky struggling just to close the door. As our heroes are trapped at Arcane Acre, Belle continues to struggle against Father Time. Father Time continues to warn Belle that this is all futile as he has essentially limitless power. But Belle doesn't give a fuck as she's not backing down and she's doing the best she can to drive off the threat. As Belle looks around, she's starting to realize that her efforts actually are futile as she's starting to get pissed and she once again charges Father Time. Belle almost hits Father Time with a glancing blow before being suspended in the air. And as all this is going on, in the underworld, Caris, the goddess of death, watches the battle unfold. Caris knows her scythe gives her the power to move between realms as well as manipulate the time stream, but Her power is lost as she remains here imprisoned. Father Time tells Karis to look on patiently as this is almost at an end, and even if she were to come here, there's nothing she can do to stop him. Father Time taunts Belle and then tosses her aside like a rag doll. Belle once again attempts to charge Father Time as her only recourse seems to be to deal a finishing blow. But as Belle charges Father Time, with a single touch, Belle is frozen in a temporal time field. Inside the field, time moves at an accelerated rate, aging her 500 years in mere seconds, leaving nothing but dust. As the entire city seems to fall silent, Father Time's work seems to be done as he starts to close all the rifts across the city. Silence settles as the battle is over and the sky turns dark and somber. Father Time looks over the city satisfied at his work before disappearing through another rift. At the Arcane Academy, Sky and the rest of the heroes can only watch in horror at the events that just unfolded. As the heroes are trying to come up with a course of action, outside Arcane Acre, the sandstorm seems to rage stronger. Father Time arrives on the scene as he thanks Eternity for trapping the heroes there in the first place. Now it appears to be Father Time's turn as he opens a rift and brings forth the Destroyers. Father Time brings forth these revenants who appear in the form of these spectral skeletons built for nothing but ruin and death. With one motion, Father Time sends the Harbingers of Death towards Arcane Acre, marching towards the world's last bastion of hope. To be continued.